the recording icon will pop up.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Hopefully you are all enjoying your night. And I know we've got some very important stuff on the agenda, and I'll try and keep this as quickly as possible because I know nights are precious to families. Just pardon me if I'm looking to my left and right. My camera's in the front. I got a couple screens. I'm trying to be IT like Mr. Barrett here, so trying to keep my life organized. The first thing that I want to do, which we always do, is to review and approve the minutes from last meeting. Now, I posted the minutes online to Facebook last night. If somebody was not able to look at those, let me know. I can share my screen and I can go over those with you. I tried to merge some things together so it wasn't as bolded and a little more flowy. Does anybody have any comments that was able to read those so far? Does anybody need me to share my screen so that way you can quickly review the minutes, excuse me? Okay. Would anybody like to make a motion to approve those minutes and have them entered into record?
Motion to approve.
Kevin made a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second the motion.
Dave made a second. Any comments, critiques, problems, concerns? Once, twice. All right, those minutes will be added to our record as permanent minutes. Appreciate that. Next thing is to go over the Pta bylaws. Now, we talked about this last meeting, and this I will share my screen for. Kevin, I took your recommendation and I added a section here talking about expenditures. So bear with me for 1 second. I kept it nice and short and I highlighted it. So everybody should be seeing my screen in a second if I did this right. So under Article 10, General Membership Meetings, I put Section 5, only during regular meetings is when expenditures from the budget, forgot the T, excuse me, budget can be brought up for a vote by the E-Board and the general membership members. How does everybody feel about that being added to the bylaws?
You just might make an addition like the regular recurring expenditures like insurance and whatever, that come up regularly that I don't think would need a, further approval.
Okay. So I can add that. And then does anybody have any other comments?
Do we want to make like a laundry list so that it's not vague or questioned? So he had said with regards to, insurance or general maintenance of PTA memberships, etc. Do you want me to make a list of things that we typically have for like needs of payment and put it in the chat?
Yes. You can either text that to me, email, chat, whatever works best. If you want to do chat so everybody can see, so that way it's public record.
I'll do a chat just so that it's clear and everyone can see and it's saved.
Okay.
So,
Mr. Barrett, I know you're recording the meeting, but can people go back and see the chat, or is it only from the presenter's viewpoint, or how does that work?
So once the meeting is over, I will also get a transcript of the chat.
Okay.
So what I could do is I can also post that transcript, and what I'll do is I'll forward that to the PTA board as well.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I just want to make sure that for those that are calling in, they can see the chat and if there's any other comments.
Yeah, it won't be
questions.
formatted in any fancy way, but it'll all be there.
Okay. Well, then I will take Amy's list and I will add that to Section 5 under General Membership Meetings. Does anybody have anything else they would like me to add about expenditures to the bylaws? All right. Well, then what I'll do is I'll update this tonight and send this back out to everybody so that way you can review it one more time, and then we can vote on this at the next meeting since this will be edited tonight. So I'll make sure everybody has another chance to look at this. Stop presenting my screen. All right, the next thing on our agenda, which is very important, is the vote on the PTA elections. Again, we have 3 positions that are up this year. That is the Vice President of Hospitality, the Treasurer position, and the Secretary position. Now, I have received a couple nominations. Obviously, anybody that would like to nominate themselves or make any floor nominations tonight is more than welcome to. What I'll do is I'll just read the nominations that I have so far, and then we'll do this one by one, so that way it's not getting very muddled. Again, in order to be able to vote, we need to have you in good standing, which means you need to have paid your membership fee for the year. Ms. Ricketson was kind enough to set up that Cheddar Up account, and people have been signing up. As of my last count, we have 17 members in good standing that can vote. I have the list that I can share with everybody. And according to the state PTA, in order to be able to vote, you have to be on camera and your screen has to be showing your face. So that way I can verify that you are the person making that vote. So the 3 nominations, or the 3 positions that I have, again, VP of Hospitality, not myself, but someone else nominated my wife, Rose Poirot, for that. Treasurer, somebody nominated Amy Ricketson for that position, for her to continue her term. And Secretary, Mr. Rebecca was nominated for that position, again, by somebody else. So at this time, I will open up to the floor to see if anybody would like to self-nominate or nominate somebody else for a position.
I would like to nominate Marlena if she was up for a second round.
For what position?
That would be for hospitality.
Okay. Marlena Brady's name has been added to VP of Hospitality. I thought I saw her on.
She was prior. I don't know if she had to leave. I don't see her currently logged in.
No. Technically not allowed to vote on somebody unless they are accepting that nomination.
That was going to be my question, if they have to accept the nomination.
They do. I was hoping she was still on, so that way we can find out from her if she'd like to accept it or not.
Okay.
Are there any other nominations from the floor at this point for either VP of Hospitality, Treasurer, or Secretary? Going once, going twice. All right, so because Marlene is unable to accept that nomination, she's been removed. Since there's only one person for each position, I'll go and ask. Rose, would you like to accept the nomination of VP Hospitality?
I will accept.
Okay. Amy, will you accept the nomination of Treasurer?
I will accept, but according to the rules, I can only accept it for 1 more year, and I have to go up again next year.
That is correct.
Just so that and we acknowledge I cannot keep it next year. or it has to go up?
Correct. You can only hold this position for 1 more year. And Secretary, Rebecca, do you accept the nomination?
Thank you.
I think I heard you say I do.
Yes. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Okay. Yeah, a little faint. All right. So I will open up one last time. Are there any other nominations from the floor for VP of Hospitality, Treasurer, or Secretary?
Not that I want to contend anything, but is there a nomination committee?
There is a nomination committee. Mr. Barrett and I have been spearheading that. We've only received a couple emails since our last meeting.
Okay. Because in the past, I know that like if someone did want to nominate someone on the floor here, that you had time to go back and find out if they would accept it.
That
I'm
is
not sure if
true,
those
but
rules still stand.
normally that would be true, but because of COVID and us being so late into the school year already, the state has asked that we hold our nominations and our votes today. We were supposed to technically do this in October, but they granted us some leniency because they realized that we were waiting on their advice and guidance. Some schools in our district and other districts held votes last year when they were not supposed to. So they've been going ahead. According to the state meeting last year that I attended, they told us at that time not to do any Zoom or Google Meet voting. So that's why we have held off until this point when in September they finally allowed that.
Thanks for the information.
Yeah, no, I want to make sure everybody understands. I asked multiple times once COVID started, and they said that we could hold our meetings virtually, but there should be no voting. That was last year. And then because of the length of this virus, they have gotten feedback from national PTA that we're finally able to hold virtual voting. Are there any other questions from the floor?
John, please note that just because of memberships that are being paid online, I put their names in the chat for membership purposes. That would be added to your spreadsheet that you currently have that you're working off of.
Awesome, thank you. I
I
just
think
looked at the
that's
chat for a
also really
second.
helpful too, because that'll be part of the transcript. So just in
Right.
case there are any questions, it'll be part of the transcript for the meeting. So thank you for doing that.
So because there is only one person for each position, we technically do not need to hold a vote because they have all accepted and there have been no other nominations. But I will go ahead and allow anybody to voice any concerns at this point in time.
Don't we have to have the secretary cast one vote?
Not according to our old bylaws, but we can actually, I have no problem with people voting. So I can go down the roster here and I'll move this over here so I can see. So I'm going to go straight down the list of good standing members. So as I call your name, please acknowledge that your vote for Rose for Hospitality, Amy for Treasurer, and Rebecca for Secretary. So, and this is in no order except for the way that it was given to me on the spreadsheet. So, Kim, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay. Is Cassandra McDonald on?
No, I do not currently see her logged in.
Okay. Rebecca, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay. Danielle Kemsley, excuse me.
I do not see Mrs. Kemsley logged in at the moment.
All right. Miss Manella?
Yes.
All right. I vote yes. Rose, how do you vote?
I vote yes to all.
Miss Ashley Ichiba, how do you vote?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Miss Britton Manny, how do you vote?
Yes
So,
to
Mrs.
all.
Manning-
Can you hear me?
Yep. Thank you. I don't see, Miss Amy Capisi, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. Amy Ricketson, how do you vote?
Yes to all.
Thank you. Mr. David Beauchamp, how do you vote, sir?
Yes to all.
Thank you. Miss Shayna Gare, I don't see her on.
I do not see
Okay.
her logged in currently.
All right. Walter or Christy Guest.
I do not see either Mr. or Mrs. Guest logged in.
Okay. Miss Christy Carter.
I do not see Mrs. Carter logged in.
Okay. I'm now going to move to the chat box to see those other names that Amy posted for us. Sabe Paloma.
Vote yes for all.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Melissa Manconi.
I vote yes for all.
Thank you. Dorothy Chin.
Dorothy, I think you might be muted.
I am. Sorry about
Okay.
that.
No, it's okay. If you're muted on purpose, I apologize.
No, it's like being at home. You just get used to like cutting out the noise. Yes to all. But I just wanted to let Kevin know in the past when we've only had one person in each category, title, whatever, we've just basically handed out ballots. We didn't hand out ballots. We made the announcements and we moved on.
Right.
So
Thank
essentially
you.
people are voluntold rather
Right.
than elected.
So that is everybody that is in good standing that has paid their membership dues. So I appreciate everybody who has voted. Thank you very much. So the new positions as of the end of this meeting, I will retain as president for the remainder of this year. David Beauchamp will retain as vice president for the remainder of this year. Rose, you will be the new VP of Hospitality. Amy, you're treasurer for this 1 year as per the bylaws, since you have already held that position for 2 years. And Rebecca, welcome as secretary for the new board. So congratulations to all. And I want to thank everybody that has voted and volunteered. I know that this is an unpaid position without any glory, but we do a lot for the children. And I think we've done good things in the past, and I want to continue doing good things, even though everything's very different right now. So, Mr. Barrett, do you have anything to say?
I was going to echo that statement. I think that, we are so fortunate to have an active PTA, and we have experienced quite a few benefits from the last few years from the efforts of the PTA. So I'm really excited to see that continue. And I think that during this time of a pandemic, when everything's a little bit different, we need all of the support that we can get and all the creative ideas that we can get. So I think the PTA is even more important than ever this year. And it's really important also that the PTA represent students that are in person and students that are learning remotely currently.
Thank you. So that kind of segues a little bit into our next topic. Oh, someone want to say something?
We adjourn. We just make sure we do a financial update. Please.
Yes, we can do a financial update. So we'll move that to last. The next thing that was on the agenda was fundraising ideas. As you all have seen, we have started a virtual fundraiser that's been going on for a week or so now. Dave Beauchamp was kind enough to spearhead this project. So we have been working with Cherrydale, and I have their sponsor dashboard up right now. And to date, we have a total of 1,320 online sales dollars.
That's awesome.
$579 coming back to the school.
So just so you know, if we compare that to last year's data, because I looked it up, we are about $150 off of last year's data for Cherrydale. So that's awesome because we still have a few weeks left, and people are, now that Halloween is over, people might be more into holiday gear and spend a little money.
I hope so. So we technically have 16 days left with Cherrydale. So looking at registered students, it's jumped quite a bit. I will say, Miss Manella, by far you have the most students in your class that are buying stuff. So kudos to you. Miss Chomka is right behind you. So, but
Hey, John,
yes, sir.
do you have a unit count, the number of total orders?
Give me 1 second.
Because we had talked about the number of students in the school and had a kind of a soft goal of at least 100 orders. So that was the expectation anyway.
So I can count it up real quick. Give me a second. We have 30 orders divided out between less students. Some students have 3 orders, some have 2, some have 4. Miss Manella, I don't know what you're doing in your class, but when your students order 4 different times, obviously that's going to friends and family using that student's personal login. So, yeah, we're at 30 orders all day.
I would say that if at least anyone on the call could share the posts with friends and family, that would probably go a long way.
So I will be.
I think there's a related question in the chat too about one of the questions is there an online catalog that we can share with friends and family? So,
yes, there is.
Okay.
Dorothy. So I made the mistake.
Awesome.
I will absolutely admit I made a mistake, and I shared a link, and it populated on the PTA page with Anna's name on there, which I did not realize for a day or two. So I will admit I made a mistake with that. So be careful when you share, because it's sharing your child's personal link. So what I can do is I can see if I can get a generic one from Cherrydale to put out on PTA. But if you have a child or a grandchild and you want to share their link to support that child, absolutely, you can go ahead and do that. So I have removed that link from the PTA page as soon as someone told me what happened. So
okay, so when there's a generic link, I'll also share that school-wide as well. So that way we'll get it out in many different ways. That would be terrific.
Please. Now, along with this as a fundraiser, Rose was looking into another one, and I'll turn it over to her so that way she can bring that up to you guys.
Good evening, everyone. And just as Dave put on our winter or our fall fundraiser, there's one similar to that called Little Shop. Went on a couple sites that we've used in the past, and this one has completely virtual with including all the IT support, including images and stuff to boost your sales via Facebook and everything free of charge. And again, we've used them in the past, and all items are less than $5 each. And it's the same what the kids would experience in the school to get items for their friends and family. And when you click on it, actually gives you like here's for mom, and you can click in the mom section and dad section and grandma and so forth. So and the good thing is there's a huge variety, even more than usual, and it's all free of charge. And unfortunately, we won't get a significant kickback because this is a give back to the school. But this is something that we're going to initiate maybe a week after we close out this this current fundraiser. If there's any questions, I am available in the chat or via email.
Awesome. Thank you. And a lot of these fundraising ideas, I know Rose spent some time on PTO today, and she went to a virtual fair, spoke to a bunch of different fundraisers. Since everything is virtual now with how they're running it, even though we're getting a little bit money back, we're actually getting more money back from these companies than if it was in person and we were doing stuff in the building, because they can ship directly to the individual families as opposed to shipping to school and then having us divvy out. So Cherrydale made that very, very clear to Dave and I when we were on a conference call with them, that the percentage we were getting back as a school was greater because of this. So this hybrid approach is very beneficial to us in these times. So also, as along with virtual fundraisers, I'm pulling up an email that was sent to me. I'm not going to say by who, but they had an idea for a virtual PTA virtual event, and I wanted to get the pulse of everyone here and what they thought. This person states, "Hi John, I had an idea for a PTA virtual event. There's a wonderful, talented art teacher / studio owner out of Warwick. She does virtual online painting events where she tells you ahead of time what supplies you need. I've even read where you can purchase the supply package before a particular event. Once you pay, she sends you a link to join the virtual party." She's gave me the website for me to check this out. She's done a couple events with this person where they painted wine glasses for girls' night out, but she can do things for kids, for parents. So there is some opportunity for us to do this if you all think it's a good idea to do. Any comments on that?
Do we know what the cost is?
Not yet. I was going to look into it once I got a good pulse check from everybody tonight. I'm thinking about maybe after the new year doing something like this. Giving people time to have the holiday shopping, this fundraiser that we're running right now, and then get through the holidays before we do something else where they need to spend a little bit of money.
Do you have a link to the website you can throw inside the chat?
I do. Give me a second. I will post that. It is her Facebook page that was given to me, so I'm going to post that in the chat right now for all to see. So again, we don't need to decide on that tonight. Just want to get that thought out there, start percolating. Any event that we do, as Mr. Barrett said in last meeting, it should be something that our in-person students can do and our virtual students can do, or our in-person parents and our virtual parents can do. So I think that something to this accord would be a good idea. But I am up for any ideas, obviously.
So one of the things I was thinking, and we don't have to make any decisions tonight, but we can think about it, is for informal events, just fun things. We have a platform like this. Like we could even have like a family Jeopardy night, or almost like a family feud night where we did it via the PTA via Google Meet or something. Like we could have some free fun events that anyone can participate in, just to get families together. And also, one of the things that I've noticed in the classrooms where teachers are doing doing Google Meets during lunch or snack time to allow virtual students to sort of interact with the in-person students, those have been really popular. So it would be another opportunity to also let in-person and virtual families sort of mix together more, because I know that that's really something that we're missing this year across the state. So just an idea, because it would be very little overhead. It would just be something fun. And if it didn't work, that's okay. We could always try something else.
Awesome. Any questions on fundraiser ideas?
I did have two that I wanted to bring up, and I actually just sent an email to you, Rose. The first one is Giving Bean, which is coffee. And I believe, I mean, who doesn't drink coffee nowadays? And it's 40% back per order form and 25% back for their web store. And it seems like they are reasonably priced. And the second one that I saw was, I thought, up Mr. Barrett's alley. It's actually called Raise Craze, and it's a fundraiser based on kindness. And I mean, it might be a little bit out of the box, but you know, it's basically, you know, you get somebody to kind of, you do kind things, and people will actually donate for you to do those kind things, but it's actually like contactless. So it could be something small like writing a letter to somebody, but it's something to think about. We may not get a lot of money because of it, but it ties into the whole kindness motto that we have at the school.
Nice. So I'm on the Giving Bean website right now. Looks interesting. I'll fill out the request for brochure for PTA PDF fundraising brochure, so that way I can post that on Facebook and share that with everybody so you guys can see.
And Rose, I actually did sign up for the Raise Craze one, and I'll forward it to you so that way you can take a look and see if it's something we might be interested in.
Perfect. Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Cool. Thank you so much, Rebecca. Any other ideas or questions for fundraisers? All right, the next thing that Mr. Barrett hit me about was our OCRS spirit gear. I spoke to J&R this past week. They are almost done processing all of the orders. They had a couple more things that they were waiting on. So they're hoping that within the next week, everything will be complete. I told them to expedite this. I will go down to their warehouse and pick it up, and I can drop this off at the school, Mr. Barrett. What they're going to do is they're going to have everything packaged per student. And hopefully that'll make life easier. Not only will it say the student, but it'll say the homeroom, or their teacher, I should say. And then that way the students can bring those items home. So I'm hoping by the end of this week, if not Monday, I should have a good idea of picking it up next week from them.
That sounds great. And then what we can do too for the virtual students, when we have the next materials pickup, we've been doing those every 3 or 4 weeks. We'll include all of those packages. So that'll be perfect timing.
Awesome.
And Mr. Poirier probably, he may or may not remember this, but the reason what prompted this question was one of the bus drivers, believe it or not, ordered an Old County Road fleece. So a bus driver that has no connection with the school, she just gets a kick out of us every morning. I'm not sure why, Mr. Poirier. It might be the the traffic gyrations that Mr. Gruska and I are doing every morning. But
I think it's the walking crew she sees every day.
I think so. But I thought that was terrific that a bus driver would do that and support the school in that way was wonderful.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say thank you, and we'll make sure that she gets her fleece.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. My idea is once those orders are complete and dropped off at the school, I will talk to JNR about reopening the website so that way people can always go back and purchase more goods. What they said was they'd like to keep it open for about a month and then shut it down, and then it takes 2 to 3 weeks for them to process all the orders depending on the size. So
I think if we open it up right after Thanksgiving, so if anyone wants to buy merch for a Christmas present that's reasonably priced and also universally holiday present, I don't want to forget about anyone.
Yeah, I concur.
Or grandparents don't have something to purchase, it would be easy to kind of add to their link of something. or as we purchase winter gear because it snows on Halloween, we might be or something that we really weren't thinking we needed as quickly as we do.
I agree. Oh, that reminds me, Mr. Brad, are we going to go back and start doing spirit gear days like we did last year?
Yes, and actually, as part of my principal's report, we're going to talk about that because our sunshine committee at school has a list of things that they'd like to do. You know, we started with the kids wearing the costumes last week, which was a lot of fun. So I think the days, the weeks where we don't have an official sort of theme from the sunshine committee, from the teachers and staff, I think those would be perfect weeks to do the spirit gear. Yeah,
Awesome.
so we're almost like alternating. I think that'd be wonderful.
Perfect.
I know that we added a lot of teachers and new staff to the that have not typically been there, and we did afford teachers and other the ability to t-shirts. I realize that we have not put a budget forth this year for the PTO, but thought that maybe we should be able to open it up to teachers at a distance if they wanted to be part of that grouping. And having the opportunity to shirt for themselves as well, or a sweatshirt.
I think that would be
I'm not
great.
sure how.
I know some of our new teachers did purchase some items in this first spirit gear. So that I think having an opportunity for them to get the t-shirts would be awesome.
Cool. All right, let's roll into committee updates. Rose, I know you have been passing off the 5th grade committee stuff, but if you can talk about that, and then box tops.
All right, I'll do box tops first because it's easiest. Across the board, across the nation, or across the United States, box tops going digital was the death of box tops, basically. It's very difficult to get people encouraged to scan the receipts. We, at our peak, made $2,000 a year. With easily 400 to 500 per submission twice a year. My last one was a whopping $12. And so for scan-ins, we're at $36. But this is like nationwide. So we don't feel terrible. Hopefully they'll do something better later. But I did start posting on the PTA Facebook page about reminders on scanning. But it's universe. I mean, it's happening. So we'll see what happens with box tops trying to improve their system to make it easier and user friendly. But also encourage it. On to 5th grade. It was fun. It was great, but it's even better to let it go as the 5th grade committee. We had a great ride, but I gave it the binder, the official binder, to Dorothy Chin. Thank you for taking on the responsibility, and hopefully I've found someone to help share in the responsibility. And please, any 5th grade moms that are on here, it's not an easy task, so please support her. And I hope that we can still make it special given the circumstances. We did do some unique things, making lemonade out of lemons, but I hope she can do better than I. So I appreciate her taking it on, and I still made myself really available if she needs any support. But please, as far as anybody on the PTA or any friends that just are too busy to make it, please, please, please support her, because it is a difficult task to make 5th grade their last year here at the elementary special.
Thanks, Rose. That was great. And I think we do have a challenge in front of us. And I took your advice and I started up a Facebook page. So, and I hope I got the year right, because I was sitting there trying to do math the other day and it was not working. There is a Facebook page for the 5th graders. I believe it's class of 2028. Is that what I put?
That is correct.
Oh, thank God. So if you can join us there, that'll be great. And then I'm trying to find a time to do a Zoom.
And can we, I don't remember if that went out in the last school update, but letting anyone who's not necessarily on Facebook all the time or on the whatever, just looping in all the parents, because a lot of people don't maybe necessarily participate all the time, but hopefully we'll get them on board this year.
Yeah, so if you want to write up a blurb for me to include, and I can certainly just sort of freeform something. The other thing we had talked about the last meeting was to try and to make sure we have representation on the committee or the 5th grade committee for in-person and virtual. And I love the fact that Dorothy stepped up and we have representation for virtual families and students. It'd be great if we could also have some 5th grade families of in-person, so that we can make sure that we're not leaving anyone out of the things that we talk about. So maybe I can also do a little gentle nudge when whatever we put out in this weekly update to encourage families who are in person to also help out on the committee. I see Dorothy put yes, please in the chat. So you're welcome.
And then Dorothy, Stephanie, whatever help you need from us as the main PTA, you know, we're here to support you. And then whatever, if you want us to post something on our PTA page announcing, you know, you guys have a 5th grade Facebook page, we'll absolutely do that and repost whatever you need us to repost as well. So I know it's going to be difficult and even more difficult this year. So you have our complete support behind you. All right. Thank you for the thumbs up. All right. Before we roll into principal's report, Amy, if you would like to talk about financial matters, please.
Mute, I gotta turn it off. I just have a quick report. Our balance currently is $10,448.06. We made a deposit this month of $54.28. We have 2 outstanding checks, one for our insurance to AIM for $470 and a check to PTA Rhode Island for our membership of $76.50. So that also brings up to the part that our insurance is in good and will renew. Mr. Barrett, I will do a digital copy so you have a copy on file.
Excellent. Thank you.
And we are in good standing in everything else. As I stated in last meeting, our taxes have been filed and we have paid the second date for our membership, which was due in June. So all of our needs have been met both financially to the IRS and as well as the state of Rhode Island.
So, I mean, my question for you is, I know we have to do an audit. How would you like to do the audit this year, seeing as how we're virtual?
So what I can do is, so I can label numbers on, you can select them and then I have to present you the data digitally so that everyone can see where it's coming. So you can match up the deposits and the expenses as needed.
Okay. That sounds like a completely separate meeting that we need to do just for that.
It would be better than just doing it during a general membership meeting and those that wanted to join. However, I can't for it and people that are related can't sign for, like John, you can't either. And John and Rose can't work together and sign it legally as well.
Right. Which I didn't mean to throw you on the spot, but I knew that this was a very complicated item. So I wanted to be at least brought up and recorded on the fact that we need to be very careful on how we proceed with this and that it needs to be a separate meeting, not something we can just wing tonight.
Agreed. And it would be better if that one was also recorded just for, however, recorded but not posted just because of sensitive information, financial documents, but available upon request if needed, if people had questions.
I agree. Does anybody have any questions or comments about the budget review? This is something that we have to do every year and we have to report to the state PTA on this.
So just
again,
a reminder, is I would bring the 12 months of the year to the meeting, and 3 months out of the year would be audited for receipts and everything else. And then 2 people for each month of would sign off on it. However, this year would just be different where we would pull 3 months out of random picking. So the numbers would not adhere to the months that they are. So it wouldn't go together. that makes sense? So out of
Yep.
random, if someone picked 2, then I would, whatever envelope was labeled 2, clearly marked, then we would go through each one of those.
Nope, makes sense. Any questions from members or from you, Mr. Barrett?
No, not at this time. I think when we get closer to how you want to do some of the audits, Mrs. Rickerson and Mr. Porter, we can try and work some of the things out, because one of the things we can do too is if you need a space for people to get together in person, central office has a meeting room upstairs that we could possibly use. Like, we can sign up for times, and it can be, it's a large room, so distancing is very easy. And you wouldn't have to come into the school, because the schools are trying to discourage visitors this year. So if you need a space to do those things, we can work on that with the central office staff.
Actually, that would be amazing.
Okay, great.
Just because I think purposes, if 6 people besides John and I, so like our board can still sign up and audit it, but and tell me which numbers they want, and then I would just bring that file folder so it's less touching of things. Then I would bring the file to the office. They would only have that file, and then I can also secure that it's not exposed to anything.
Right.
Been not touched over long, and however else.
The other thing we can do too is just record everybody who was in the room, the date and the times for contact tracing if we need to. It would just make all of that a lot easier. So when you have a general idea what your timeline is, let me know and I can sign up on your behalf. And I can even meet you there.
Yeah, just for auditing purposes for the PTA, sooner the better, because we are supposed to supply something to them by the end of October. However, because of the situation, we've extended our deadlines, but I do it by the end of November so that the audit is present and we're in active standing.
Okay, why don't you and I, Amy, via email, we'll come up with some possible dates and times, and then I'll reach out to Mrs. Patron over at Central Office and see if the room's available.
Okay, that sounds great.
Okay, terrific. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Barrett. All right, now it is time for your report, sir.
Well, that was quite an introduction. So I first wanted to say, even though it wasn't specifically PTA related, the fact that we were able to get the kids to have some fun in school right before Halloween. And we know that not all families participate in Halloween, and that was perfectly fine. But we had kids who just, I think they needed to be able to do something fun. And so being able to wear something special, whether you celebrated Halloween or not, seeing the teachers chip in is a lot of fun. So 4 of our brand new teachers all decided together to go as crayons, and they were all different crayons, all on the second floor. And some of them are in the meeting tonight. I won't call them out, but I just thought that was terrific. And it was a really nice way to have some school spirit in a very safe way. And the kids continue to really just, I think, surpass all of our expectations in following all of the guidelines. Like, I can't imagine when I was in 3rd grade wearing my Halloween costume and wearing a face mask all day and not having to have my principal stand over me and make sure that I'm doing the right thing. They did a terrific job. So in reference to that, like I was saying before, I'm looking at my notes here, our Sunshine Committee here of teachers and staff, we are going to be doing some theme-based ideas on Fridays or Mondays over the next month and a half. So I'll send those out to families, whether it's kids wearing specific things or us doing specific things that we know are safe. But I think for the PTA, on the off weeks where we're not doing those things, having, Monday and Friday wear your spirit gear days would be another great idea. I think that's terrific. So we'll make sure to get that out to families. I talked briefly about, it's it's tricky because doing in-person events this year is probably not going to be an option, right? Particularly inside the school. I do know that, Mr. Poirier and I talked about, we agonized over, did we want to do like a station at the police Halloween parade? Did we want to try and do something? But there was so much mixed guidance. We thought better we probably shouldn't have. And the police did a really nice job down at Deerfield Park that night. But I would like to try and get some ideas, and maybe we can reach out to parents who weren't here tonight, of online type events that we could do that wouldn't cost much or anything, like the art event you're thinking about, but even just some fun, goofy things that we can do to sort of encourage community and family and just have some fun. So I'm open to ideas. I will throw out some challenges to staff to see what ideas they come up with. Some of the young staff members may come up with some really fun things. But it just in the back of your mind, if you see something, even posted on social media that another school, another state has done that you want to try, we're game to try things. I think people are really willing to have a little fun and poke a little fun at each other. I think it would be good. We already talked about the 5th grade committee, so that was terrific. And I know that we already have some ideas from last year, what we did. I do know that some of the things that the 5th grade committee did last year at the end of the year, which we had to sort of put together because of COVID, were really appreciated by those kids and families. Some of them came back and were wearing the sweatshirt that was made for them by the 5th grade committee for Gallagher Middle School, which was so neat to see. So I know that we can do great things for the 5th grade this year, even if we have to make sure that we are following those guidelines. The last sort of thought I want to throw out there to the PTA, and we have some time, is you may have seen in some of the superintendent reports or other things on social media, as the schools who are under construction finish their structural steel, there's a beam raising ceremony. So the last steel structural beam, as it gets raised into place, there are little ceremonies that happen in the school. So McCabe did something. The Perch did something a couple of weeks ago. I would love to involve, we had kids involved in the other schools, and we'll certainly do that here, whether it's kids signing the beam or, doing something fun as the beam is raised. But I'd love also to include the PTA in that, because the PTA is a huge part of our school. And as we're building a new addition, the PTA is a big part of what we're going to be doing with that addition in the next few years. So just something to think about, how we might want to include the PTA in that ceremony. Valley Breeze comes and takes pictures. It's a nice moment for the school. So I thought it might be kind of fun for us to do something really creative and maybe show, McCabe and La Perch that Oconee Road can be as creative or more creative than they can be. So something to think about. We're probably, the last steel beam for us is probably going to be ready towards the end of December. So it's going to be very cold. Miss Manella can attest to the footings are going in outside right now, so the whole school is vibrating at times. But some of the foundation was being poured this week. Some of the reinforcing bar and steel is in there, so that's going to happen fairly quickly. So just something to think about. And then just the other thing I would like to say is, if there's anything else that we can do as a staff and as a school to try and get the message from membership out. So I sent lots of emails. I put the links in the forums and in the weekly updates. But if there's anything else that we can do to help you get that message out to families to become members of the PTA, please let me know, because we'd like to help with that.
I think those separate emails you were sending with just the PTA stuff, even though it's included in your weekly update, but those separate ones is good. Like we spoke about that one day, it's something different. It's not a huge mass email, and it's, might catch them.
So maybe what we can do, John, and members of the new members of the PTA board, is maybe what we can plan on doing, since the weekly update goes out usually Sunday nights or Sunday afternoons, maybe on Wednesdays, we can do PTA specific emails. And I'll still put that information in the weekly update so people can go back and find it. But that might be something that we want to think about and make it stand out.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Terrific. So that's the end of my report Oh, one last thing in the report. So you know that we had one last teacher that we were interviewing to hire. So you know that Miss Farrell, one of our special educators who was involved in the therapeutic classroom, she took a classroom teaching job in Situate. And so we just hired not a brand new teacher, experienced teacher, but new to Smithfield. Her name is Mrs. Ellis, and she started this week in the therapeutic classroom. So I just wanted to say that we have now a full roster of teachers and staff for our school. So if you happen to see or hear about Mrs. Ellis, this was her first week in school. So, just say hi to her, congratulate her. She seems to be really happy to be here. So we're very happy to have her.
Awesome. Well, welcome to her. And Ms. Manella, and for all your other teachers that are on tonight, I want to thank you for taking your time out of your evenings and coming and joining us tonight. And welcome to the new board members. Amy, thank you for another year with you. And Rose and Rebecca, I look forward to working with both of you this year, as well as Dave. So that ends our general meeting. I'd like to open the forum now for any questions, comments, concerns that you may have. So feel free to speak as you wish.
I just sent a message through the chat. If anybody asking if anybody's done a Netflix movie party. You guys done that?
I thought there was something about copyright in that, like the Polar Express or something that we had to purchase the something.
Yes. You
So we
can do a
can't,
movie party.
we can't do a movie party.
So unfortunately, the license to be able, we can, but it's very, very expensive for what you're able to do. So we did actually get a little slap on the wrist last year for the Polar Express. So if we want to do something like that, it is something that has to be budgeted. And it's unfortunately, it is not cheap. The license that the PTA has to get, I couldn't remember, was it like $400 for a single showing?
It was about $350 for one night.
Okay.
Right.
So that's
because of COVID, so a lot Disney, Netflix, and Hulu have offered teleparties, where it is one showing and you can do, depending on which service it is, it's up to 50 people.
right. So that's a specific service offered. It's different than the regular movie licensing because it's actually through their platform. Is that right?
Correct. Yep.
So we can find out more about it and get back.
Why don't we investigate and see if that's something that like they'll offer to a PTA, and then we could also see if that's something that the statewide PTA. I can't imagine they're not hearing requests about that, so they may already have a position or they may already have advice.
Yeah, if I can find something to substitute for around Christmas time, right before we go on break, to substitute for Polar Express, that would be something great to fill.
Yeah, if you do that, I'd like to propose it for 5th grade committee as well. Because I think the limitation, like on Netflix, is 50 people.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's something you would do for a whole school unless you're doing separate showings. But
I think that would be great for 5th grade. I think that's a terrific idea for 5th grade, as long as the legal requirements were met and it wasn't that license for showing was something that they were relaxing or was covered under whatever Netflix was offering.
It is a free thing that they offer that you can donate to. I can send you the link to read if you like on the fax.
I think that would be great because maybe then the PTA board, we may want to forward that information to the state PTA to see what their take is on it. Because if they say it's okay, I think that's an interesting idea.
Excellent. I just dropped it into the chat.
That's great.
Awesome. Thank you. I had no idea that Netflix, Hulu were offering items like that. So that's definitely very cool to know.
That said, there's extraneous ballots coming in all over the state.
All right. Does anybody have any other comments that they would like to bring up at this point in time?
We think it's going to be a tie, but somebody's the leading vote getter and somebody's going to get voted on the electoral vote. That's what we're headed to. essentially going to be a tie, but somebody is going
All right, well, that ends my part of the PTA meeting. It's 8:04. I have nothing further for you folks. If someone would like to make a motion to adjourn.
We already know.
I'll make a motion.
Dorothy's made a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for attending this evening's PTA. I will write up the minutes and post those in the next couple days, and I will change the bylaws like we spoke about and have that updated on Facebook. And Mr. Barrett, I'll send that out to you as well to send to everybody. So thank you all and have a great night.
Thank you.
Likewise.